Hello, Movie Crusaders, and welcome to our end of summer review. My name is Sean Wasp. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels. It is nearing the end of August, which means that our summer movie season is finally coming to a close. Now, granted, we are shooting this about 2 weeks before the end of August, but we looked at the release date schedule, and there's really not much else coming out that's going to really change our aspect or mindset of the summer movie season. I think the next big movie's coming out is literally on the last day of August, which is like Toxic Avenger and oh god,
The
there's one other
Roses comes out that day.
The Roses and
Caught stealing.
what's that?
Caught stealing.
Caught Stealing. That's the one I was thinking of.
There's the movies that if we're making a formal top 10 of the summer, I might be hesitant to do this now because some of those might actually sneak in onto that list because I'm looking forward to some of those movies. But we're primarily kind of wrapping up box office, which is pretty much locked now at this point. And we'll just be discussing kind of general trends and favorites and stuff. So
yeah, so like I said, if we were doing like a general top 10, then we would have waited, but we're not. We're kind of discussing just the summer movie season as a whole and our surprises and disappointments and everything. So we pretty much are ready to go from that. So that's why we're shooting it now instead of waiting 2 weeks because we got the time. Let's do it. So like I said, coming back to when we were discussing our summer movie preview, what were your general thoughts of the summer coming in? Before we actually got to see everything.
My general thoughts coming in were that there weren't a ton of movies that I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited to see. Now there are a few of them, obviously, but there weren't a lot of movies I was super excited. I was kind of looking over the list going, it's actually kind of a thinner summer than I expected. I mean, I think we're still kind of, I don't know if we're ever to get back to that kind of pre-COVID kind of summers used to have where like there's multiple major releases coming out every week. This now it seems to be like one, maybe two that are going for different audiences. But there was definitely a lot of stuff that had potential. There was a lot of things that I thought could be good, could be bad, could end up being very much in the middle. And honestly, that's kind of where it ended up.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing that I think we were going over in the summer movie preview, which we'll touch base more once we get to the end, was that the top 5 seem to be locked in. It pretty much is going to be Lilo Stitch, How to Train Your Dragon, and then Jurassic World, and then probably a combination of one of the 3 superhero films. And we weren't totally off on that concept. I mean, there's definitely some different moves and some different places and spots that we weren't expecting, but those were definitely going to be your top 5 or 6 of the summer. And it wasn't necessarily because there wasn't much to contend with it. It's just that we kind of have been paying attention to the crowds enough over the last few years to kind of know what they're going to go see and what they're not going to go see. And like I said, for the most part, we were pretty spot on with that. But yeah, I mean, obviously, in terms of the films that were coming out, I was cautiously worried about Jurassic World Rebirth because it had, broken my heart the last 2 movies, and I wanted to hope it was going to be good, but I had no guarantee. Neither one of us were really super excited for 2 out of 3 superhero films with Fantastic Four, Superman, and Thunderbolts. I think we were both excited for Mission Impossible. Neither one of us really gave a crap about Lilo Stitch, and I was optimistic about How to Train Your Dragon and really didn't care. And then, of course, we were both super excited for F1, and then we had other movies that we were kind of like excited for or just, anticipating to see, and others that we really just had no real give a shit concept about, like Smurfs and other crap like that. Now now that we are fast forwarding to present day, how do you think the summer went in terms of enjoyability for you, box office? Like, how did you think it was overall?
I think generally speaking, it did end up being a weak summer. There are a couple movies I really enjoyed. Of course, most of the ones I enjoy tend to underperform. And then the movies that are the huge blockbusters are the ones that I don't care about, or in several cases didn't even bother to go see. But yeah, it seems like most of the stuff that I was really rooting for kind of underperformed, with one exception that did better than we expected it to.
Yeah, I would say in terms of box office numbers, it's the lowest it's been in the last couple of years. It's definitely lower than last year, and it's way lower than the year before that. And I chalk that up to kind of the issues that we were having last year, which is when movies are hitting, they're not staying in theaters. They're going right to digital. I think Superman probably could have gotten a little more legs out of it, and it's already on digital now. There's a couple other movies where I was like, man, they're fucking moving it to digital already. It's like, let it give it time to breathe and grow. Now, nothing to the extent of like last year with like Fall Guy, where it hadn't even been out a month, and they moved Fall Guy to Peacock, which was a huge disservice to that. I will say in terms, there's maybe one movie in particular, which I'll talk about here in a moment, that, excuse me, that I think the fans really disappointed me on, or everyone out there really disappointed me on by not going and giving more money to. But I think for the most part, the movies that I think we thought were going to do well, people did go out and see. Now, there's maybe one or two here or there where we thought maybe would have done a little better than what we got, or some that we didn't think were going to do as well, who actually exceeded our expectations. But in terms of the actual quality of movies, I think we had a lot of good movies that came out during the summer. But there was also a lot of films that I think we expected more, and they just did not quite deliver. But I think as a summer movie season, I thought it was fine. But it was one of the weaker ones over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So going into a little more detail of that, what would you say was some of your disappointments? Not necessarily, I mean, it could be directly a disappointment in a film, or in came to some of these movies, or certain movies as a whole. Like for me, I'll start off. I was disappointed in the MCU. Thunderbolts was good. It was better. I don't think it was better than we anticipated. I think we had high expectations for Thunderbolts, and I think it managed to meet it, but not exceed it. But we weren't expecting like huge things for Thunderbolts. I think we were kind of like cautiously optimistic, and I think it managed to do a solid job of managing our expectations. Fantastic Four, I know you weren't excited for it at all, but I was like, well, yeah, but we got Pedro, we got Joe, we got these people, like it's gonna be good, and it was dreadfully boring. And then if you clump Captain America Brave New World into there as well, and then you even count like Ironheart, which I think Ironheart's probably the second best thing that came out for MCU this year, besides Thunderbolts, and that wasn't theaters, that was Disney Plus. I think the MCU greatly disappointed this year. I'm hoping next year it's gonna be better. Obviously, don't we have Avengers, but that's not in the summer though. I think it's not the end of the year.
Avengers is December now.
Yeah, I was like, that's the end of the year now. But yeah, I think the MCU really disappointed this year for me. What was something else?
The MCU, I was kind of I kind of knew, like the last couple of years and this year, I kind of felt like it was going to be the MCU kind of spinning the wheels till they got back to Avengers, which we knew what they're planning on doing. Thunderbolts, I was excited about because I love this character is kind of that this kind of B-list people that instead of the superstars get to kind of be that oddball squad, the Suicide Squad kind of thing. Great concept. I like all the people in it. I was a little disappointed by it. It was enjoyable, but I thought it leaned too much. And like some people just love the fact that it's like, oh, this is an MCU movie that's addressing mental illness, and like I don't need that in my MCU movies, at least not so heavy-handed.
I definitely said outside of Infinity War and Endgame, this was the saddest MCU movie ever.
Yeah, and I also thought that and Sentry, because I like Lewis Pullman. I was glad to see him in this. I thought he was going to play a great Sentry and Bob again, because I thought he plays the kind of that Bob character great, and then he gets to like kind of get to see the dark side of him as he plays the Void side of Sentry. I thought that was interesting, but I do think that they completely copped out because the trailers made it look like he was just like wiping people out, which is basically just dusting people. And it turns out, oh no, he's just sending them into this little other world where they can all return from as long as they get hugs and be happy and find their happy place and all that shit. And it's like, I don't need this shit.
Which I mentioned is now the second movie for the MCU this year where you resolve the main big baddie by basically calming him down and giving him a hug.
Yeah, we all just need a hug. That's less than the MCU now. So I just spoiled the end of Avengers Doomsday for you. They're just gonna hug it out. But Tom
Holland's Spider-Man is gonna go to Dr. Doom and go, no, you're Tony Stark and you're my mentor and my father figure and I love you, and he'll hug you. Okay, I'm not gonna end the world now. Damn kid.
Yeah. So a little disappointed by Thunderbolts. Fantastic Four, like you said, I was not that excited. Fantastic Four was exactly the movie I expected it to be. It was like, I wasn't excited about it, didn't hate it, but I didn't have high expectations for it. I expected to be kind of mid on it, and I was. It also has all kinds of plot holes and things that we've discussed in, go watch our review if you want to hear our deep thoughts on the movie. But I didn't think much of that movie. And then those are the two that came out in the summer. And I didn't watch Ironheart. So on the DC side of things, I will say Superman, pleasant surprise on kind of every level. I mean, we'll talk about later on in box office. It really kind of exceeded expectations. Basically, Superman had to be like a hit, but didn't have to be a blockbuster, breaking records and stuff. But it had to at least, be a good start for the new DCU, James Gunn's DCU. But it ended up doing a lot better financially than people expected it to. Like you said, it came to digital very fast because they wanted to use it to help promote Peacemaker season 2. They probably left a little bit of money on the table. I don't think a ton, $10-15 million. It wasn't going to change its rank in the box office, anything like that, but they probably did leave a little money on the table. But then as far as quality wise, I was unsure what to expect from this because I love James Gunn. I find Superman to be kind of a boring character. I've talked about this many times before, where it's just like, oh, let's just give him every power. He's a little bit too goody two shoes, truth, justice, American way kind of thing. So I don't love him as a character, but I did very much enjoy this movie. I enjoyed David Corenswet's portrayal of him. I liked the writing. I thought James Gunn had a good balance of, you still got those James Gunn isms and kind of some of those weirder characters that he likes to include, but it wasn't so over the top that it felt out of place. Like if he'd gone full Guardians in a Superman movie, it would have felt very odd and out of place, but he didn't do that. But yeah, it turned out to very much enjoy that one. So as far as superhero movies, I think DC definitely won the summer.
Yeah, I was not expecting to enjoy Superman nearly as much as I did. Like you, I'm not a huge Superman fan. I like Henry Cavill's Man of Steel, not because of Zack Snyder, but because I like Henry Cavill. And you and I are both not super crazy Christopher Reeve fans so we're very open to a new portrayal of Superman. It's just we're not a big Superman fan for the character that it is. But like I said, we trust James Gunn. I mean, he started off strong already with Suicide Squad and Creature Commandos and stuff. We just weren't sure what we were going to get. Superman is the only movie this summer that I actually went back and saw a second time. Not saying that was my favorite movie of the summer, but it is the only one that I was like, hey, let's go see Superman again. And we went and saw it, and I still enjoyed it as much, if not more, the second time viewing it. And I enjoyed it quite a lot the first time watching it. I think David Corenswet is to me the best Superman that we've gotten. He feels the most, I don't want to say lived in, but he feels the most human out of the Superman. Even when he is Superman, he doesn't still feel like an alien. He feels very much human. Crypto was a welcome addition. We didn't know how we were going to
something I expected to hate, just because not hate, but I'm like, they're going to force this cutesy little dog down our throats and it's going to be dumb. But then I saw that first preview with the first clip where they showed him. I'm like, okay, this is kind of cute. And then even watching the movie, I'm like, I know they're just manipulating me into loving this dog, but I can't deny that it worked. It worked. I love the dog. Yeah. We get to see more of him in Supergirl, so that's good.
Yes. Nicholas Hoult surprised me as Lex Luthor. I wasn't expecting to like him as much as I did, and I thought he was a great Lex Luthor. I was worried about the world building because we were jumping ahead for Superman. Not that I need all origin story stuff. I would have liked maybe more origin of the relationship between Lois and Clark, but we didn't get that. I think Rachel Brosnahan was solid as Lois. Could have gotten more screen time. I know you don't really care for that, but I wanted a little more of that. I think the action was really solid. And I think most people were surprised by Superman because I don't think it's that they didn't trust James Gunn. It's just I didn't think they knew how he was going to be able to handle Superman. I think most people were surprised and happy with it. Now that it's on the digital, you're seeing everyone nitpick the fuck out of it and just be trolls to be trolls. And I don't really care about the opinion of those people because they're just trying to get clicks and stuff like that. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with not just how good the movie was, but how well box office wise it did. It's going to finish number 2. I think you and I both didn't even have it in the top 4 this year. I think we both were just expecting it to kind of be good, not great in terms of money, and it exceeded expectations of what we thought.
Yeah, all of our box office predictions were within like 1 or 2 of where we predicted it to be, except for that one was like well above
Yeah.
where both of us put it. Yeah.
Superman was the one movie that we did not expect, which is always one. It's always one with us. And last year it was fuck, I forgot what it was last year. No, last year we were pretty spot on. I don't think last year we ever had any surprises.
Yeah, no, we just keep thinking back to the Top Gun year.
Top Gun year, and then the Oppenheimer Barbie year. We got
yeah.
I think the closest thing last year, but it was more me than you, was Bad Boys. I didn't think Bad Boys was going to do as well, and you did.
I had a relatively high, but yeah.
Superman was definitely our surprise of the year in terms of the box office. That was the biggest mover that hurt us in terms of our predictions. Another disappointment. Sorry, I'm going so well, and then I hit like a little blip, and then my freaking voice goes away. Another big disappointment for me: horror movies. All three. No, sorry, there was 4 horror movies that came out this year. 3 of them sucked. And the one that you guys probably are thinking that didn't suck, it did. The good one was Together. Bring Her Back, I thought was one of the worst films of the year. If I Know What You Did Last Summer was greatly disappointing and bad and cringy. And while we have not dropped the review for Weapons yet, Brian and I are both not fans of Weapons. And I remember during the summer movie preview, we were both like, or at least I was like, I feel like Weapons is going to be the surprise. Now, box office wise, it is actually doing pretty solid. It's, I believe it's cracked the top 10 domestic.
It's already in the 10th spot right now.
Yeah, it's already in the 10th spot. So it's only
I think it's going to stay there. It'd have to make another 40 million to pass up the next one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think it's going to make it past the number 10 spot. But I don't think any of us, I think in some movie preview, I don't think I had it. I didn't have it in my top 15, but I said if there was one movie outside of my 15 that I thought could make a surprise, it would be Weapons. Because I feel like that it would be that late horror push, which it is, just not for me and Brian. But yeah, all the horror movies outside of Together disappointed me this year.
Yeah, I expected Weapons to be good, actually. But I did not expect it to be a huge success like it's clearly been box office wise. And the movie, there are aspects of it I very much enjoyed, but then there are other things about it that I didn't enjoy, which really dragged it down to just kind of a mid-level rating. I will also mention, just in terms of horror, 28 Years Later. I didn't love the other 28 days, weeks movies. They were okay, but for some reason I had higher expectations of this one. I think just because you have, Aaron Taylor Johnson, because you have Ralph Fiennes. It also, the trailers were very well done. So I think I had pretty high expectations for that, but that disappointed me as well, because I thought it was just kind of okay. But then the other horror movie you didn't mention, Final Destination Bloodlines, which somehow did huge money.
I feel like both of them, like, they are horror, but they didn't feel like horror movies to me, so I completely spaced them.
Oh yeah, Final Destination Bloodlines. I mean, obviously horror, but a different kind of genre of horror. But that one made like $138 million, which is like more than any of the other ones in the whole franchise. And it's the reviews, people are praising it. It has like a 90% or something Rotten Tomatoes on it, and people are praising it. Is it so good? And I enjoyed that movie very much. But I also feel like it's really not that much better or worse than the rest of the Final Destination films. So I am just kind of baffled at why people are latching onto this one and then saying, oh, but it's so much better. Those other ones weren't very good. This one's really good. I'm like, this one I enjoyed, but I don't see it as a giant step up from the rest. So that confuses me. So I guess to say I'm pleasantly surprised that it did well, because they've already greenlit another one. So maybe they can continue this, which is fine with me, because this is a kind of guilty pleasure franchise that I love. But I'm just a little baffled by the public's response to it.
I think more so because I chalked it up right to be even with the first Final Destination. I think it's right up there with the best one, which is the first one. I think in terms of money, obviously ticket prices are a lot different from 2000. When was the first one? 2000.
2000. First one.
2000. Yeah, 2000. Obviously ticket prices are greatly different there. But I mean, I think a lot of it's just more. We also have been how many years removed since the last one? It's been at least 10.
Yeah, I don't know exactly, but yeah, it's been a while.
But so I mean, I think it's just more the excitement level of getting a Final Destination movie back and it being actually decent, and it just being not recent memory. What's the term?
Recency bias.
Recency bias towards it. Whereas like I let it get a year from now, 6 months from now, and if people go back and rewatch all of them, I don't think people are still going to be so like Bloodlines is the best one. Blah,
I
blah,
also
blah.
wonder if it's some people, because there has been such a long gap between since the old ones, if a lot of people, especially your teens and 20 somethings, have never seen the older ones and they see this and like, well, that was good. It's like, well, go check out some of the other ones too.
Yeah. And then 28 years later, actually did pretty solid box office wise too, in spite of it not being nearly as exciting of a movie as you and I were hoping it would have been. But yeah, that one did solid as well. The only other real disappointment I have, well, I got a couple ones, but I mean, in terms of the one that I really want to do is our typical call out where we are disappointed in all of you, and that is not giving Ballerina the rightful chance it deserved. This is our Fall Guy and Furiosa
Fall Guy this year, and Mad Max.
Yeah, this is our Furiosa Fall Guy award of How Dare You, and that goes to Ballerina. You guys didn't even get Ballerina past the first John Wick. Come on, guys. Like, Ballerina deserved way more love and way more appreciation than what you guys all went out and seen. I don't understand why you guys didn't want it. Is it because Keanu? No, Keanu was in that movie, so no excuse there. He was in it more than he really needed to be.
Yeah, he was the part that shouldn't have been in that movie. Yeah.
Exactly. He was the weak link of the film, and that's not anything against Keanu. That's a script thing. Ana de Armas killed it in this movie. The action was fun. The
action is so well done. I've rewatched this once or twice since, and it's just like every time I watch it, I'm just more impressed by the action.
Yeah. Why no one went to go? Not no one. There's a good chunk of you, but why this movie did so badly in terms of money? Because you guys want new shit. You guys want not the same old stuff. They give you something new here, and then you guys don't go out, and now we may not get a sequel to this that really deserves a sequel. Ana de Armas deserves to have this franchise because Keanu. Yes, Keanu's John Wick, but Keanu can't be John Wick forever. I don't even know if he even wants. He's going to do another one. I don't think he wants to. I think he's forced to do another one. Let Ana take over. Let her take over. But you know what?
If there's one thing Keanu has done well, it's latch on to new franchises. You know, he did the Bill and Ted thing, and then once that ran out, he was able to. Point Break was a franchise. He did a great movie in Point Break, but then he latched on to The Matrix, and then he latched on to John Wick. Let him move on to whatever his next thing's going to be. You know?
Yeah, whether it's comedy, which he's got the what's Good Fortune coming out later this year, which actually looks funny. Let Keanu rest, because Keanu really does beat himself up over these movies. If you watch Wick is Pain, go watch Wick is Pain. You can see that Keanu really kills himself doing these roles. Let the man rest. Let Ana take over, and because she's going to kick ass, because she does kick ass. So it's huge disappointment to everyone for not giving Ballerina the money she rightfully deserved. What was your other disappointment?
I have two other major disappointments. Not in their performance. Well, not in their performance, but in the quality of the film. I really, really, really wanted to love Naked Gun with Liam Neeson.
Okay, you took one of mine.
You know, it's being directed by I think it was Kiva Schaffer or was it Jorma Tacone? One of the Lonely Island guys. I think it was Kiva Schaffer.
I think it was Schaffer.
You know, Liam Neeson seemed perfectly cast to be like the straight man in this comedy, kind of the same way Leslie Nielsen was. I mean, he's clearly comedic, but he's kind of trying to play it straight. And then Pamela Anderson seemed like a great, you know, kind of new version of like the Priscilla Presley from the original. And it's everything about it. The comedy sensibilities seemed to be just right. And I went and saw this, and at best, I chuckled a couple times. Mostly, a lot of the jokes were just missing. And you know, it's not doing great at the box office, and I understand why. So I'm not blaming people for that one, because that was just the quality of the movie disappointed me. My other disappointment being Jurassic World Rebirth, because this is a movie I had high hopes for, because I have enjoyed even the last three Jurassic World films. I know more so than Sean, but I still enjoyed them quite a bit. And then this one, I didn't love the cast at all. I didn't love the fact that they're kind of rushing this one into production and rushing it out. But Gareth Edwards is doing it. And he's, you know, if you've seen the creator is awesome. You know, see what he did with Rogue One. It's great. And so I thought he was going to be able to take everything he does and how he makes things and the stories he devises and make a Jurassic World film. It could be awesome. But this is all just my theorizing. I think because he came into a movie that was already kind of already moving, and it was such a short time, he wasn't able to actually put his stamp on it. It's not his story. It's not he didn't probably even design the action sequences, things like that. This was all stuff that he was just a director for hire. And so this one disappointed me just because I had high hopes that it would be a great combination of Gareth Edwards and the Jurassic franchise. And instead it felt like, let's just turn out another Jurassic movie. And it was honestly one of the weakest ones. I'd put it down with Jurassic Park 3 as one of the weakest ones.
See, and it was one of my surprises because I enjoyed Jurassic Park Rebirth or Jurassic World Rebirth. I felt like it was the closest thing to Lost World, which is one of my favorite ones. I enjoyed the cast. I enjoyed the aspects of it with the dinosaurs and everything about it. It was it's not Jurassic Park. Nothing will ever be Jurassic Park. It's just not possible. But it definitely was a turn in the right direction for me with the franchise compared to the last two films, which were great disappointments. So for me, it was a big surprise. If you want to hear more about it, obviously check out our review for it. We'll go into greater detail. My only other two real disappointments, and one is it's kind of on the ballerina scale as well. And granted, it's only been out a week, but wow, the box office numbers for Nobody 2 was bad. It didn't even crack 10 mil its first week. Nobody 2 is better than that. It's better than that. It deserves more appreciation than less than 10 million. I thought it was solid. I thought it was on par with the first film. I actually I didn't know if I was really gonna like the whole vacation violent story, but it ended up working for me. I had fun with it. But then I was pulling up the box office before we shot the show, and I was like, ooh. I knew we were gonna talk about box office wise. It's too soon, but god damn, guys, not even 10 mil. You guys all claim to love Bob Odenkirk, so I don't know what the deal is. Sorry. My only other disappointment, and this is more like I said, quality, not you guys not going to see it, was Karate Kid Legends. This is probably more so because of Cobra Kai than anything else. If Cobra Kai had not been around, had not been a thing, probably wouldn't even have batted an eye at this, but because of how popular Cobra Kai is and how much I loved Cobra Kai, I was super excited for Karate Kid Legends, and it just did not meet my expectations. I felt like it had a really good first half with the story that they were telling, and then the second half felt like, no, we're not going to go the different route. We're just going to do Karate Kid again, and we're just kind of rush through this. And I think they did a poor job of developing the Johnny Lawrence of the movie. I felt like it just became less about the kid and it became more about Daniel and I'm blanking on Jackie Chan's character name in it. And then it just kind of sped ran to the finish line, where I thought they were doing a really good job of developing. I think the new kid's Ben Wong. I thought they were doing Ben Wong or Ben Wang. They're doing a really good job of developing him as a character and being in New York. I thought Joshua Jackson and I'm blanking on the daughter's name. I really loved their dynamic. I loved the story they were building, even Ming Na's story. And then halfway through the film, they're like, "Oh, wait, this is Karate Kid. Let's just do Karate Kid." So that disappointed me greatly. Other than that, I don't have any other disappointments. I have surprises. Are you done with your disappointments?
Disappointments, I think that covers it. Yeah.
Okay. Surprising things. I mean, we were kind of weaving in and out of it.
We mentioned Superman already. Yeah.
What's that?
We mentioned Superman already too. So
yeah, Superman, and then for me, Jurassic World. Granted, I know we are talking about a lot of theaters and stuff. But I want to give a shout out for Prime. Prime had a great summer. Amazon Prime, we normally don't really give it its due. We don't normally give it its credit for its TV because we get The Boys and Gen V, but we really don't acknowledge it for its movies. And I want to give a special shout out to 3 movies that came out during the summer: Deep Cover, Heads of State, and The Pickup. None of them are going to break the mold of like great films throughout the year, but all 3 are solid, fun action comedies. Deep Cover is great. 3 just wait. Bryce, I almost said Jessica Chastain. Bryce Dallas Howard, Orlando Bloom. Oh God, blinking on Ted Lasso guy.
I got it right here. Nick Mohammed.
I was like, I know it's Muhammad. I can remember his first name. All 3 of them are great. And playing these improv specialists who are basically forced to kind of be undercover cops. Very fun film for what it's doing. Also, Sean Bean is in that, and Patty Constantine. Heads of State was probably my favorite of the three, with Idris Elba and John Cena coming back together. Prime Minister and the president, they're basically trying to be assassinated, and they have to basically try to figure out who's trying to kill them. I thought that was fun, great action sequences, and really enjoyable ride throughout. And then The Pickup's the most recent one with Eddie Murphy and Pete Davidson and Kiki Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
Kiki, yeah. Basically about this armored vehicle that basically gets hijacked and has to help them with like a robbery. Was not expecting much out of that, and I thought it was pretty enjoyable for what it was. These are three movies that, if you hadn't been watching the trailers as much as me and Brian have, you probably would have overlooked them, or you probably would have saw them on Amazon and maybe clicked on one, but not the other two. And I think all three of them have been solid this summer, and I think all three of them could have done pretty decent. I'm not saying they would have cracked the top 10, but they could have been pretty decent if they were theatrically released.
I would add to that, Amazon Prime also had the very beginning of summer, Another Simple Favor, which I enjoyed quite a bit. Not as much as the first one, but I enjoy that. And Sean left off their best one, War of the Worlds.
Yes, they also had the worst movie of the year, apparently. I
just
keep
kind-
trying to get Brian. I keep trying to get Brian to watch it with me, and he won't. I don't want to watch it by myself. I don't want to watch that shit by myself. If I want to do it, I want Brian to watch it with me.
And kind of, I didn't even think about streaming. I was thinking about the theatrical, box office and stuff for summer. But just kind of on the same note, I will say pleasant surprises this summer, animated films. Two in particular, which we'll talk about on another show soon. Predator, Killer of Killers.
Yep.
One of the best surprises of the summer. Loved everything about that. That turned out to be great on Hulu. The other one, obviously a huge thing right now, is K-pop Demon Hunters, which I'm sure we'll talk about that some more as well. But those are two huge surprises. I was not expecting to see great animated films come out in the summer like that. So.
Yeah, we were both excited for the Predator film because it's Predator, but none of us were expecting it to be as good as it was. And then K-pop Demon Hunters, I mean, I think Brian and I both heard of it, were like, okay. And then Brian reviewed it, and I'm like, really? You watched that? And then finally I watched it. I'm like, oh my God.
Because I mean, Netflix has some of that animated stuff they kind of mix in there. And so I just tend to just ignore both their American animation and in actual Japanese animation. And I just kind of ignore those because it's not my kind of thing. But there was, people I respect, or at least like value their opinions, like Dan Merle or some other people, are putting that in their top, their top 10 films, or their top 3 films of the summer or of the year so far. And I was like, really? So I thought, I guess I have to check it out. And like you, I just turned out to love it. So, but we'll talk about that.
I mean, I watched it 2 days ago again, and I still enjoy it as if it was the first time watching it. Other surprises: Fight or Flight, a movie that really probably no one outside of us probably have watched or know about, but they did give it a theatrical release. I don't know how well it did box office wise. But yeah, I didn't think it did. But the Josh Hartnett Assance is around, and people need to acknowledge it and accept it and enjoy it. Fight or Flight, which is basically Bullet Train on a plane, was fun. Not as good as Bullet Train, but still enjoyable throughout. My other, I got 2 more. Another one, which is more recent, had zero expectations for it, did not care to see it, but actually quite enjoyed it, which was Freakier Friday. Was not going to watch it. But then I saw Julia Butters was playing.
That's
Lindsay
the one
Lohan's
thing that has
daughter.
me interested in watching it. Yeah.
And that was the only thing that made me go, okay, maybe I should check it out because I want to see what she does. She was fantastic in it.
I might have to watch it.
The story was better than what was great about it was that I easily believed that Julia Butters was Lindsay Lohan, and I believed Lindsay Lohan was Julia Butters. They both did a great job playing off one another that I bought into that. Now, the other girl, I think Jamie Lee Curtis does a great job. I don't necessarily think the other girl does a great job being Jamie Lee Curtis. And that was the issue there. But I do think, and this is coming from someone who's liked Freaky Friday, didn't love it, thought it was kind of overrated. I think they do a solid job of connecting it to its predecessor. They got some fun callbacks. They don't overtly beat you in the head, and if they do, I didn't pick up on it or catch it. But I actually enjoyed it more than I expected it to. It was one of my bigger surprises. I didn't think it's one of the best things ever, but I went in with the zeroest of lowest expectations, and then I was like, you know what? I actually had a lot of fun, and there's some good heart moments in there as well, some good heartstring moments as well. Then of course my biggest surprise of the year, How to Train Your Dragon. I wasn't hoping. I was hoping it wasn't going to be bad because I mean, this is DreamWorks' first time really kind of doing the live action from animation film thing like Disney's been doing, and I was like, well, I guess if you're gonna do it, this is probably the best one to start with, and they did not disappoint. I actually think the animated film does a better, or I thought the live action is better than the animated, which I know is gonna piss off a lot of people, but I think that they give more time to the movie to allow for the characters to develop better. The side characters such as Astrid and oh god, Gerard Butler, Stoic. I feel like they give them more time to be more fully fleshed characters than they did in the first animated film. I think the animation of Toothless is fantastic. I think, oh god, I'm blanking on the kid's name who plays Hiccup.
Jason Thames.
I thought at first I was like, okay, you're just doing a Jay Baruchel impression, but he grew into the role, and I thought he actually did a really good job. Everything looked great about this movie. It was one of my favorite films of the year. I loved it, and I was not prepared to enjoy it as much as I did. Did you have any more surprises?
Yeah, I mean, besides Superman, we already talked about. I had two things that really kind of surprised me. F1, I actually enjoyed a lot more than I expected to. Not a perfect film, but I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. And I don't care about car racing, much less F1. You know, like basically essentially European, primarily car racing. You know, I like Brad Pitt, but he does a lot of movies that just don't interest me. But I really liked this one. I liked everything about this one. The way it was, it definitely felt like a Joseph Kosinski film. It felt like it was kind of filmed the same way as like the Top Gun films, but this time, you know, in race cars, done very well. And I thought, you know, Brad and Damon Idris, what is his name? Damson Idris.
Yeah.
I thought they did a great job. So that one I enjoyed a lot more than I expected to. The other surprise for me was only a little bit of surprise because I kind of thought I suspected I might like this one, and that's Life of Chuck. This is a movie directed by Mike Flanagan. Has a lot of his usual suspects, you know, sprinkled in there into the cast, technically starring Tom Hiddleston, although he actually has a fairly small part in the movie, a pivotal part, but his part is not, except for one segment, he's not really primary in the movie. This is a movie that I just loved every scene of. I loved every character. I thought everything was so well done. I think that the ending didn't quite stick the ending where they try and tie everything together, but that's typical Stephen King. But aside from that, like I said, every individual scene of the movie I loved. Every performance I loved. I just wish that each act I loved so much that I wish it could have been a whole movie by itself. It's like, no, I want more of this, but we moved on. Oh, I want more of this. Nope, we're moving on. And it's just like, you know, I guess that's a good thing to think that leaves you wanting more than to leave you saying, oh, they dragged that out too long. But I was a little surprised at how much I enjoyed this movie.
And it showed us, not that we didn't think he could, but Matthew Lillard can act. He has such an amazing scene in the first act that I was like, holy shit, is Matthew Lillard making me feel something outside of laughter? Because he's always comedic wise, he's always great. But it's like, oh my god, dude, like you're making me feel. Damn, Matt, where was this for the last like 20 plus years? Life of Chuck was great. Anything else you'd like to add before we go to our box office?
Nope.
All right. So going through our box office predictions that we set at the beginning of the summer, I had Jurassic World at number 1, followed by How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitch. I had the Fantastic Four, Superman, Thunderbolts rounding out the rest of the top 6, followed by Mission Impossible, F1, Ballerina, and Freaky Friday. Brian had Lilo and Stitch at the number 1 spot, followed by Jurassic World, How to Train Your Dragon, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, and then Superman rounding out the top 6, followed by Mission Impossible, F1, Elio, or Elo, how you want to say that damn fucking title, and then Naked Gun rounding out the top 10. Like I said, we, for the most part, I think we each had, 8 of the top 10.
We both had the top 8. Our top 8 were the actual top 8. All of them, like I said, off by just 1 or 2, with the exception of Superman, which did way better than we both expected. Both of us had our 9 and 10 not make it.
Yeah, I had Jurassic World too high. And then you had Superman too low. You had Thunderbolts too high. But the actual, and like I said, this is of August 18th. The only real thing I saw changing between now and the end of summer was outside of the top 10, which was like Ballerina being jumped by Freaky Friday. But the top 10 summer box office domestic ends up being Lilo and Stitch at the number 1 spot, which Brian had. Superman at number 2, neither one of us had. Jurassic World Rebirth at number 3, which you had it 2, so none of us had that. How to Train Your Dragon at number 4, we both had it higher. Fantastic Four at number 5, which I had it at 4. You had it at 5. You had that one correct. Mission Impossible 6, we both had it at 7, so we actually missed on that. Thunderbolts at 7. You had them at 4. I had them at 6. F1, we both had it 7. Or no, we both had that at 8, right?
We both had that at 8.
And that one, we both got that one exactly right. We both have it exactly where it needed to be. Final Destination, Bloodlines, and Weapons rounded out 9 and 10. So, like I said, we didn't have that one in there. I think the one, Lilo and Stitch for you and F1, you had exactly right. And you had Fantastic Four exactly right. So you won this year again because you had those 3 perfectly.
It's not a competition.
I know it's not. I know it's not. But yeah, I mean, like I said, looking at the box office for domestic, I think, like I said, the biggest surprise is Superman. I don't think any of us expected it to be as high as it was. I think we both wanted Mission Impossible higher, and then it ended up being higher than we expected. But we were kind of like, we wanted it to do Top Gun numbers, but the first one, or Dead Reckoning, didn't do as much. So we kind of like tempered our expectations. I think we both wanted F1 to be higher, but we knew it wasn't going to get higher than the 8. Was there anything in this actual top 10 that surprised you?
Not really. Like I said, most of them ended up where we expected them. I did not expect Final Destination Bloodlines to do nearly what it did. I thought that even if it was good and people liked it, it was not going to make big money. But I guess it just came out at the right time when there was, not any competition for that particular demographic that wanted to go see it. And then Weapons is another one that I expected people might like, but I didn't expect big money out of it because like Barbarians didn't do that kind of money from the same director. But I guess this one, people talking about it has kind of fueled it. It's kind of had a couple of strong weekends. It helps that the last couple of weekends haven't had any, major releases to give any competition. Instead, it just trounces Nobody 2, which is disgusting.
Yeah, but I thought Nobody 2 would have taken the weekend, but then I saw it was Weapons still. And I was like, oh, wow, it wasn't even that close. Like, Weapons doubled it. And I was like,
yeah, but the only surprise for me in the top 10 is that Superman did better than we expected it to. Domestically, I will say worldwide, which I know you have a little more information. Jurassic World did do better than Superman worldwide, but that makes sense because dinosaurs eating people is easier to translate to other countries than Truth, Justice, American Way.
Yeah, in terms of the worldwide, no one was going to touch Lilo and Stitch. Jurassic World Rebirth was at number 2. How to Train Your Dragon is number 3. Like I said, right now, as of now, Superman, Mission Impossible, and F1, they're all 3 within like 10 million of each other. Superman, it was only 2 million behind Mission Impossible. It's going to jump that probably. F1 is 10 million behind those 2, or like 8 to 10 million. So it might, but it might not.
It's also the advantage of not being on digital yet. So
yeah, that's the benefit for F1. Is that it still has at least another week until it goes to digital. I think they said the 22nd is when F1 will come out on digital. Fantastic Four at the number 7 spot, followed by Thunderbolts, and then once again Final Destination and Weapons worldwide at 9 and 10. So yeah, no Pixar in the top 10. Now, granted, Elio was top 10 domestic until Weapons, and then it dropped out. But yeah, no Pixar, no animated at all in the top 10 for the summer. 2 horrors are in the top 10. Bad Guys 2 is just outside the top 10 in terms for animation, but yeah, that's where the summer finished out. Like I said, not as strong or as much as what we were hoping for, but it was still a decent summer nonetheless. Not in terms of box office money. I mean, it still did over 3.4 billion, which I don't think that's bad at all. I think that's pretty damn good. But we now move towards the fall. There are some big films coming. I don't know big necessarily in terms of box office, but definitely big in terms of what we got coming up in terms of quality of films. Obviously, the Oscar race is going to start coming out, so we're going to start seeing those Oscar prestige films, which I know Brian doesn't care for. But we do have some exciting movies coming out for the last 4 months of the year, which we will be coming out with our fall movie rest of the year preview. That won't probably be out until the first week of September, though. And then, but we also have our decades of animation, episodes 1 and 2, which are the 90s and 2000s, is out right now. And then we will be coming out with the 2010s here in the next week, which will finish up with the 2020s. Even though we kind of did a slight review of them, we will be having our end of August movie review dump, which will review Naked Gun, Weapons, Bad Guys 2, pretty much everything that came out in August, even though you kind of already heard what we thought of Weapons and Naked Gun a little bit already. But we got plenty of movies coming up. But let us know in the comments below, what were your thoughts on the summer movie season? What were your favorites, your surprises, your disappointments? Did it match ours? Did it not match ours? Let us know. But until next time, we are the Movie Crusaders. I'm Sean Waskrug. That is Brian Michaels. Until next time, in case we don't see you, go watch some movies and go have some fun.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.